Shulavim Barucha. Let's learn the Chumash together a bit. A word on the Parsha. It's the Zimadika Parshas. People are away, going on holidays, hopefully and to relax a bit. I had an interesting telephone call this morning. A bocher called me up. He said, I was driving my father's car. I'm home from the yeshiva, so my father lent me the car. It's a big thing for me. And I stopped at a red light, and the car pulled up next to me. And I looked at the car. It's a nice-looking car. And the fellow rolls down his window and starts cursing at me about being Jewish. So the boy asked me, what's happened to me? What did I do wrong? I said to him, listen, dear friend, you know what happened to you? You found out you're a Golas Yid. You're in Golas. You got a reminder. Hashem sends us reminders. We live in a bubble sometimes. And we don't see, we don't know. It's all good, Baruch Hashem. You go outside on a holiday or whatever it is, and you get reminded. We have to know who we are. I remember many, many years ago when I was a young man, and we would go on holidays, and we'd go to visit the Shver, the Schwieger, and whenever we went to see the Rebbetzins mother, she would, as we were going home, we'd go through a certain kind of a pantomime that she would call out the window, do you have your passport? And we'd all have to show her we have the passport. And she'd call again, you sure you have your passport? And this would go on every single time. And I think it was like a throwback from when she was young. Because she was a young immigrant just before the war in America. And her passport was a vital. This had proof that you're here, they can't send you away. I'm in America. I'm part of this. The feeling of being a stranger in a foreign land is ingrained in the DNA of the Yid. Part of the reason we've been able to survive for thousands of years in Golas is because we have precious something that's different, that keeps us. I remember that one time the Rov was reminiscing how he took his citizenship to become an American. And the Voidislav Rov was a Rov in Voidislav. Voidislav was in Poland. By the Krieg, by the Mechuma, somehow he got across and he ran to England. His Shver was the Shotzer Rebbe who lived in London. So the Voidislav ended up there and he became an English, he took an English passport. Years later, he came to America. So when it came time for him to take the oath of becoming a citizen, back in those days, it was a whole ceremony. Everyone came together from the different communities who were becoming citizens. And part of the Seder, part of the order of service, if you will, was that they told you to take the passport from the country you have come from and throw it away. There was a receptacle in the middle of the room, because now you're an American, you can get an American passport. You're one of us. So the Voidislav told me, I took my old passport and I put it in my pocket. So I asked him, why'd you do that? He said, I want you to know something. I still have my Polish passport. I said, why? He said, because we don't know what's good. Today it's good to be in America. Maybe I'll have to be going back to England, or maybe I'll have to end up in Poland. Do I know? It's Golas. A Golas Yid doesn't give away a passport. So there's this bit of edginess that's driven us to create wondrous communities. wherever Hashem has put us, and allowed for borders that we've created that kept our uniqueness whole. So back in the day, I remember when I was young, it was something you did when you went traveling. You took a can opener and a tin of tuna. There was no kosher food. Today, it's good business to have kosher, and multinational companies have jumped on the bandwagon with Shiur. You could travel far and wide, and you don't have to worry much, right? But you need more than just to eat, right? It's not a passport that we have to have when we leave or when we go someplace, but rather a definitive markers of who we are. Every Yid is responsible to carry his Torah ideals wherever he finds himself, and to be aware that he is part of the whole of which is Klal Yisrael. And Parshas opens up with Hashem giving us a powerful statement. Ra'ei, anoichi noitzen lefneichem hayoim brocha uklala. See, I present before you today a bracha, a blessing, and a curse. The blessing, that you hearken to the commandments of Hashem, your God, that I command you today. And the curse, if you do not hearken to the commandments of Hashem. So there we see the word re'eh is singular, whilst before you, lifneihem, that is a plural expression. So the Aznaim, the Torah explains that Chazal are telling us that a person should view himself as always having an equal number of good and bad deeds. Right? We're not sure where it's a balance. And the rest of the world is equally divided between righteous and wicked deeds. So whenever a person does a mitzvah, I don't care who he is, a yitita mitzvah, he tips the balance for the whole world to the side of merit. And if chas v'shulam, he does a navara, he brings the entire world to that opposite side. So we may conclude from this, says the Naim B'Torah, that each and every Yid can bring the blessing and the curse on all of Klal Yisrael. That's why see is in the singular, addressed to every individual, you, me, your neighbor, whereas before you, lifneichem, is in the plural. For the blessing and the curse are meant for the entire Klal Yisrael. So not only our fate, but the fate of the entire Jewish people is in the hands of each and every one of us, because we don't know where the tipping point is. Now let's take this a step further. Let's do some simple math. There are roughly 7.5 billion, that's billion human beings living on Earth. 7.5 billion, of which 14.5 million are Jews. Of these, roughly, again, we're not being precise here, but roughly, according to those who understand these things, 1.5 million of these, 1.5 million are from a Yidden, Torah that Yidden, Torah Yidden that keep the Torah. So it's staggering. The small speck. I mean, what's 1,400,000 compared to 7.5 billion? It's not even a decimal point, right? That speck of mankind is keeping the entire world going. It's our energy of mitzvahs, Because without the energy of doing mitzvahs, the world disappears. The energy was, that's how the world was created. Hashem did this. This has been his plan the whole time. We are the Torah world. Our mitzvahs, our chesed, form the energy that keeps everything else going. Without Torah, the world doesn't exist. The world was created through the blueprint of the Torah. Now, this sounds very daunting, but it's always been Hashem's plan. So we don't measure strength by numbers, right? But rather by the Torah mitzvahs that we do. So yeah, we travel. We go, all right, this year people are a bit land-bound because of the corona business and everyone's health, and people should be gesund. But we, even within our borders, or even where we can get to, we travel. And along with our passport, we carry, hopefully, the connection that we are Yidden. That's why we wear tzitzis. And the couple, I was asking one of the big professors, a doctor, medical expert, I said, are you sure about the mask, if it's which mask to wear? Because we now have to go wearing masks wherever we go into shops, etc. He said, why do you wear a yarmulke? So I said, he took to a couple because he has to be reminded that he's Hashem's child. That's what he has to be always mindful of God. So you wear a couple. He said, well, the mask is to be mindful, always be mindful that we're in a dangerous situation with this disease. Okay. Whatever. But it's the hair. So we travel. There was once a very venerable Rebbetzin, and she was struggling Nebuch in her senior years with a challenged memory. She used to say, it stuck with me, it's such a moving, she used to say, ich weiß nicht, wer ich bin. Ich weiß nicht, wie ich bin. Aber ich weiß ja, wemens ich bin. I don't know who I am. And I don't know where I am. But I certainly know whose I am. Ingrained in her very essence was her connection with Kaviyuchel the Eibishter. I've seen this, there are these powerful people, challenged in many different ways, but they always know, ich bin the Eibishters. I think the Rebbetzin in the Shulim, we went on many an adventure. We were all over the world. We were in palaces and we were in hospitals visiting. We did the whole gamut of life's pageantry. But you always knew Vayman she is, whose she is. She carried this Yiddishkeit with her, and there was no sense of loss, of query. So now we're entering Elul Kindle, the time where each of us must work on our connection and of our belief. It's not just about having a few days off. It's about using the time to cleanse yourself, to think about things, to take a new view. May the koyach, may the power of the Yiddish, eternal Yiddish neshama guide you and allow us all to be always aware of Vayman's mitzvahs, whose we are.